Welcome to my daily review. Today is Monday, June 23, and you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which bounced off its 21 day line today, which is just a magenta line here, which it pulled back to, and then, bounced a decent bounce, I guess. It's still digesting gains. You can see here in this little trade range, no big deal one way or the other. It's been about 3 weeks now. It's just been in this tight little range. I did want to point out that today's session, it undercut the low from Friday and did not take out the, Friday high. But a constructive day is a pullback to the 21. Yeah, the high on Friday was 19,696. The high today was 19,643, but it did undercut the low, pulled back to the 21, found support and bounced. It was up 184 points, 0.94%. Volume was 2% below the 50-day average. So just still in that little tight little trading range, that little window. On the Nasdaq, I did want to point out on the S&P 500 index, pretty significant number here, 6,000, and it's just playing teeter-totter with it here. It's been up above it, since June 5, and then it goes below it, and then above it, and then below it, and then Friday it just peaked above it, closed below it. Today it was peaked below it, closed above it. It was up 57 points or 0.96%, closed at 6,025. The volume was 10% above the average 50-day volume. So, just digesting gains here, having, a little bit of difficulty as, it's understandable and logical that it would see some resistance at that large number of 6,000. I believe it's going to, bounce and trade higher. My thesis here. You can see right off the 21 there today. The 21 was 59.50. The low was 59.43. So, textbook bounce off the 21 there on the S&P. So the Nasdaq, the S&P doing nothing wrong. Now, if you listen to the news or financial media, I mean, you think the world's coming to an end. That's why if you're trying to make money in stocks, you probably should not listen to the news. You just follow the stocks that you own. They will tell the story, the leading stocks. I'm going to get to them in a minute. But first, I got a couple of items. Obviously, I'm going to get to stocks. I'm going to get off the index. When the Nasdaq's up, stocks like Tesla and Nvidia and Microsoft, Meta, those are the ones that drive the index. Tesla was up today on their successful launch of robo taxi in Austin, Texas, I guess. So anyway, yeah, it looks, I'm not really interested in these. Just pointing out there's strength in Tesla. The Microsoft looks pretty darn good. Looks like a leading software stock now, making new highs. If we look at the weekly, all that, years worth of consolidation now breaking out here to new highs, 487 today. So, congrats to the longs there if you own Microsoft. I'm not going to go through all those stocks. I wanted to start off, because I like to swing trade growth stocks, and every now and then you get hung up to and hung out to dry. This is hims and hers down here, folks. Yeah, this is a 34% drubbing. This one, just threw this baby out with the bathwater today, I guess you could say, because Novo Nordisk said that they're going to no longer, they're going to end their contract with Hims and Hers selling Wegovy, which they just signed a month ago. And all the bulls when they signed it, this is this part right here when they with that this big run here, Novo's in, and then the anticipation was that Lilly was going to have Zepbound or Manjaro sold on Hims and Hers platform, but today they ended the contract, and Novo's kind of a rudderless ship. They don't have a CEO, and I don't know who's making the decisions there. But if you own a growth stock and it does something like this, slices of 50 with volume, to me, it's just sell and move on. If you're longer term, I believe, Hims and Hers will be fine and it's going to be a good stock longer term. It's just a short term. It's a lot of pain, and this is going to take some time. Just like on the January 27th whack day for all those DeepSeek AI stocks, it took some time to recover. Same type of deal here. It's going to take some time for hims and hers to recover. 34% loss, and it's not just, I saw some people on Twitter saying, "Oh, it's only 10% of their sales." That's not the point. The point is that Novo threatened, litigation against them, saying that there is a sham of an outfit, and really said some really pretty nasty stuff. And so, you don't want to get involved with that stuff. At least I don't. You can always move on, sell and move on. I've got a boatload of other stocks here that I'm going to get to that you can just, trade, and don't have to sit through this base building process. Like I said, this is going to take some time, probably at least until, their next earnings report, which is what, 6 weeks away at least. So yeah, hims and hers, unfortunate, but that happens, with growth stocks, young companies, less than 10 billion market cap now. When a big monster, wants to, slap you down, they can do it. And so that's what happened with Novo Nordisk and hims and hers today. Novo, this thing I thought had bottomed there at 57. This thing, they really need a CEO. I know the old CEO, Lars, he got dragged through the political theater last year with, the Senate, and why do you charge so much for your drugs when actually he should have said, what, why do your citizens need my drugs so much? What's in the food? What's causing everybody to be so fat? But they don't want to deal with the problem. They just want to, harass a company from Denmark that, makes a drug that, helps people lose weight. Anyway, that's enough of that. I mean, it's just unfortunate. I mean, if you own Hims, but this happens from time to time, and my advice or what I would do is just, yeah, sell and move on. And I've got plenty of other stocks I'm going to get to, but not just yet. I've got to go to the gold stocks. And gold, kind of seen as a defensive play. And this is something that, if the situation in the Middle East was real serious, these things would have been rocking, and they just kind of were kind of flat today. AEM is up 1%, WPM up 1%, and KGC, I know it made a new high, but still, up 1%. And the key here was the oil and gas stocks. These things got pummeled. This is VG. This is a 40 billion market cap stock, down 13% today. So it's telling you that investors are saying that the deal in the Middle East is not a big deal, and they believe the worst is behind, and it's the oil's not going to be a problem going forward. Oil fell like 8% today, and all the oil stocks with it. AR, which had been having a nice run, that one got slammed today too. RRC, so the oil and gold, if you don't see those going up, then that's telling you something about what investors feel about what's going on in the conflict in the Middle East. So that leaves us to another area. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. The defense and the uh, space stocks, and I guess you can call it that. GE. I was going to put this one on my Reddit list today. I had like 50 stocks once again. That's why I'm so bullish because I'm seeing all these nice setups. But I didn't put on GE. I put on like Palantir because I think that's your prototypical, defensive growth name. But GE looks good still to me, even though it, popped 3.5% today. Another one was what was it? Rocket Lab, this space name. Yeah, this one was up 9%. Nice pop there off the 10. That one's one on our going to be on our relative strength. Listen, the other one is, oh, helmet. Helmet, pull back a little bit to the 21, finding support, pop the last couple of sessions. So that one looks good too. So I'm not going to go through all the defense names, just kind of pointing out the gold and oil, kind of an indication, and the defense names doing well. Also, I've got to get to some of the software names. Palantir, this is thought of as, a defensive growth software name. Fills a lot of boxes. But this thing popped off its 10 today, nearly 2% move. It didn't have the volume with it. Yeah, but yeah, Palantir still looks good. I did have it on my radar list. I think it's going higher, but it's a slower mover. Roblox, another software name, making new highs today. Thank you very much. How high did it go? 104.63. So Roblox is surfing. And since I'm getting to the leading stocks, I have to switch from the 10 to the 5. Because you could see that's what the leading stocks or their relative strength stocks are surfing. They're finding support at the 5 core. We've had a little pullback today. You know, when you see something like HIMSS happen, you know, that makes you look around at some of the growth stocks to see if they're going to get hammered. And this one certainly sold off hard today, down to 159. I mean, it was like 180, 183 to 159. So, you know, that's a 24% move to the downside. But then buyers stepped in and it closed, what, at 173. So not bad overall, you know, down $9, down 5%. This is going to happen. And if I, you know, wanted to go through, if you think this is out of character, it's not. If you think it's breaking the model from the eBay, and I'm not going to go through the eBay comparison, the precedent analysis with eBay from 1998. It's not, but it's something to monitor for sure. CoreWeave looks fine to me, just you know above the 5. Circle this this one was up to what 300. I thought it would get rejected there at 300, made it up to 299, and then pulled back a little bit. Still, hell of a move here today. Nearly a 10% move for Circle. You can see right there that's been just ramping higher and higher and higher. Let me get a little different time frame here. You can see how much this thing has been moving. Just and today hit that 300 level, the 299 and pulled back a little bit. Still up, you know, nearly 10%. So that one is a very strong name. DoorDash, you know, this is one that I like for a long time. Big move today, nearly 5%. Maybe I don't know. DoorDash, yeah, very very nice, strong stock. Nice move for the retail internet group on the top 10 group, top stock in a top group. That one's looking good. App 11, I had some people comment to me, you know, they have a big position in App 11. You got to expect your stocks to pull back to the 50 from time to time. They're going to do that. You know, all stocks, even the best stocks, they pull back to their 50. What you want to see is them find support or, you know, if they undercut a little bit to rally back through. So that's what I'm expecting here with App 11. I'm not sure where it closed at today. 1.1% above the 50. So it did undercut it a little bit down to 320. And the 50 was 331. So a little undercut, rally back above. So this is going to happen. This has had like 3 or 4 or 5 short reports recently. And this thing's held up pretty well considering all the attacks from the short sellers. And earnings coming up here, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks for App 11. And I think that's when the shorts will get chased out once again. But yeah, you know, this is going to happen. I mean, if you held it all the way down to here, I mean, it would be kind of foolish to sell it here. And this is one of those things where if you if you bought it like way back here, and you know you have a great entry price under $100, this is a nothing burger. Pull back to the 50. Now, if you bought it here as it broke above, you know, the 50, you know, more recent purchase, you know, 309, then you're kind of sweating it here as it pulls back to 320. You know, probably have a stop loss or you know you take profits, you raise your stop as it rises here, and you don't take those losses. You don't allow a gain to turn into a loss. So as it rises here, you're probably out of this one. But if you're out of the stock and want to get into it, you're thinking, hey, this is an area where maybe I can get into App 11 here as it undercut its 50 and starts to rally. So it just depends on your entry point. You know, if you're in the stock, you hate to see it pull back. If you're out of this stock and you want to buy it, you're loving this move. So it just it's you know, it's just a question of positioning, that's all. Spotify and another name, you know, super strong name, popped to new highs today, up 3%. You know, where I got to throw in Netflix whenever I'm talking about Spotify. Those two remind me of each other. Just to pull back to the 21, found support. Netflix and Spotify look fantastic. All right, that's it for those software names. I want to go to the Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to point out on DoorDash on the weekly, it popped out of this 3 weeks tight pattern here. That move today was 4.5%. And sometimes that pattern is like an add-on. Like if you bought it here out of the double bottom base and you add at the 3 weeks tight, that's considered like an add-on buy point. I want to point that out before I get to the cybersecurity names because Zscaler has had this little flat ledge pattern. It's created this 3 weeks tight, and those are really tight closes. 303 3 weeks ago, uh, 301.95 2 weeks ago, 302.94 last week. Those are tight closes. Now today pops 2.5%. And it makes a new high there at 311.71. So breaking out of that 3 weeks tight pattern. So if you bought this, before and wanted to add to it, that would be considered an add-on buy point for Zscaler. That one looks pretty darn good. One of our faves, Rubric, it sold off with the earnings, buy the rumor and sell the news. It ran from 47 to 103, had the earnings report. Now it's sold off. Rallied back above its 21 today, closed just a tick above the 21. I still believe this is going to take some time to base here. It's only been a few weeks since that earnings report. When was it? June 6th. What's the date today? I said it was the 23rd. So yeah, it's going to need some time, I believe. I don't think it's just going to rally back to new highs, but it might. You got to keep an open mind. Anything can happen in the stock market. You got to remain flexible. Just ask the folks at Hims and Hers. Anything can happen. CrowdStrike, obviously, these stocks are thought of as essentials, in today's society with cybersecurity, all the hacks out there. The 491 was the old high today, 494. So yeah, 493.20. Yeah. So I don't know why it has 491 there. The old high was 493.20. Made a new high of 494.30 today, closed a little below it, but CrowdStrike looks good as well. Um, Cloudflare, another one I had on the ready list last week. I was going to put it on the ready list. Another one, like I said, there's like 50 names here, and I only put on, I believe, five. I was very defensive and conservative because over the weekend I was just looking around thinking, I got to give a couple of growth names, a couple defensive names before we really see what's going on this week. But Cloudflare looks pretty good. You got to look at the weekly chart here. This consolidation pattern, man, that looks like, yeah, okay. Yeah, still trading, consolidating gains from this low here of a 89 up to 180. So yeah, a two bagger. Got to consolidate those gains. That's probably going to take some time. Had it on the ready list last week and the last couple of weeks, but took it off this week. Still looks pretty darn good to me. Anyway, that's it for the software names. I gotta go to the financial, the fintech names. Sezzle, pull back to the five, kind of squatting there. Looks okay. Dave, our rich Uncle Dave, closed above the five today, just barely. And then Robinhood, taking the day off today on vacation, surfing the five. Looks fine to me. Definitely a leader. So the fintech names just hanging in there, doing okay. One group that I was super interested in watching today was the Power Energy Group, and that's with the nuclear situation, CEG. I did put this one on the ready list. Had this nice, what I believe was a cup with handle pattern. The pattern rec's not picking this up, but this is, a cup, with your little handle, kind of a wedge handle there. Pop, 3.5% today. Nice move, but God, I looked at LEU. This one was upgraded today and had a wild session. And that's kind of what you get with these growth names. It ran up. It was really ramping at the open. Looked like it was going to have a huge day. It was up, what, to 204, then sold off, and, in an hour and a half from 204 to 186, nearly a $20 move here, then finally closed higher. But what a volatile session for LEU. It just pulled back to its five there. So super strong stock. This is one that it's on our relative strength as well. GEV was another one that I was going to put on the ready list, but I put on CEG. I like them both. I think you could wait for GEV to kind of break above the 500 level here. It's just really pinching in right there at the five, really tight trading. I like this one a lot. So this one could appear on our ready list tomorrow or sometime this week. I like it above 504 and even better above 572. Yeah, make it prove itself. Yeah, that's what I would say. But it's been here before at 500 level. Maybe it gets the Motombo treatment and gets slapped down and rejected again. Congrats to the Oklahoma City Thunder, by the way, world champs. Sorry, Indiana Pacers. But if Motombo can't slap it down, it doesn't get rejected. It's going to power through there. And I believe that this time that will be the charm. We'll have to wait and see, though. A couple other ones. VST is another one that I like in this group. Just surfing the five here. You can see that. Yeah. So yeah, some strong stocks in the utility, electric power, alternative energy groups. But I'm gonna have to move on here. Lots of stuff to get to, and I've got to acknowledge the drug stocks. I don't haven't been talking about drugs much at all recently because they have just been getting hammered. Very difficult to find, some winners, but Sadara Therapeutics, CDTX up 113% on a phase two trial success. So somebody liked it, or the shorts got squeezed out of it. Look at that volume on that 113% move. San Diego, California had some success trading San Diego, California. Biotech stocks. There you see the double bottom base that it broke out of. So 58%. Yeah, very nice move above the high. All right. What else do we have here? Oh, yes, the one that's on our relative strength list, I believe the only one, and this is VRNA. Got upgraded today. I think it's Citigroup, and it's just surfing the five. Had a nice response to it. So, upgrade up 3%. Man, made a new high, 97. So that one's doing well. And the last one we're going to cover in the drugs is TGTX. It undercut, the 50 here. First of all, it rallied hard up to earnings and then, buy the rumor, sell the news, traded from 46 to 32, undercut the 50, then rallied back up. Kind of random move here, then undercut the 50. Now it looks to rally back through again. So you need some Dramamine for this stock. It's really a roller coaster ride, up 1.5% today, but they're going to report the first week of August. I think they're going to have, triple digit sales and earnings growth once again. So that story has a long time to play out. All right, I want to get to some of the leaders. I mentioned some of these leading growth stocks that are on our relative strength list. This is OUST up 10% today. Nice bounce off the five. As long as these relative strength stuff keeps respecting the five and keep pulling back, it's an obvious pattern here. You trim a little when it soars up like this, and then you buy them back when they pull back to their five. So you just got to kind of watch them closely to master that skill. And then there is the big move today, the pullback. Close higher there, up 10%. Nice move for Ouster. And then AEVA, another one. I changed the criteria below $30 because I wanted to include these names here that are super strong and respecting the five. AEVA is certainly one of them, up 9% today. A nice move. ASTS, another one. This one closed above 50 for the, surfing the five here. This thing looks fantastic. Um, it's up, what, 30 cents after hours, not 5%. Yeah, ASTS Space Mobile. There you can see the breakout from that base and just romping higher. So congrats to the longs there. Car, I can't figure this one out, and I'm not even going to try. It's just surfing the five today, popped nearly 10%. This is Avis, the company, number two, you try harder. I believe that was their old motto or their old advertisement. And boy, they're certainly trying harder and it's working for them. Avis looks pretty damn good. Groupon had a decent move today. Yeah, bouncing off its five up, nearly 1%, or excuse me, more than 1%. This is another one of those retail internet names, strong stock and a strong group. Lemonade, one of these insurance stocks, surfing the five, and you can see why it's in the relative strength list up 3%, more than 3% today. STRL, AI construction name, surfing the five, another strong stock, up 2%. TSSI, this is why I changed the criteria because I wanted to include these stocks, up another 5% today. Sell the rip, buy the dip down to the five. Let me see. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm going to stop there. There is going to be a new list posted tomorrow. Obviously, hims and hers will not be on it, but there's always changes. It's a fluid list. You got to look at it every day. Sometimes there's names on there that are actionable. When they pull back at the five, the CLS looks pretty darn good to me. I didn't put it on the ready list yet, but this looks like it's got a little base or a little pullback and now surfing the five. I think every time it comes back, that's a buy there for CLS. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing. I actually have three more things. The first one is KBH reported tonight. Terrible report. They cut forward guidance. Just, the home builder, the home market, the housing market needs rate cuts. And I know the administration wants rate cuts. They're going about it, a funny way to go about it, getting rate cuts. But I think the market's sniffing out rate cuts, and that's why it's so strong. We're either going to get them in July or September. It doesn't really matter. It's just, a matter of when, not if, but when the lowering of the rate cycle begins, usually the market has a nice strong rally. So that'll be a catalyst for the market, and it'll probably be a catalyst for this housing group. But I'll post more information on KB Home's report in the morning, but it wasn't a good report. The stock's barely budging after hours. We'll see how it moves tomorrow, but I think that 48.90 is the low. It retested it there at 49 and closed today at 53. I think the lows are in these housing stocks, but yeah, they will benefit from a rate cut. All right. And the other piece of news that I have is Nectar reported after hours. Their phase two trial positive data on dermatology or dermatitis, up 25% after a 12% move in the regular session. So, that's getting back into this $12 area here for Nectar Pharmaceuticals. Excuse me, Nectar Therapeutics, based out of San Francisco. So look forward to that one tomorrow. And the last thing I have to say is in honor of the great Fred Smith at FedEx. He passed away over the weekend. He was the founder of this great company. It's been a big winner for a long time, dividend payer. He was the founder and CEO up to 2022. Big supporter of the PGA Tour. They have the FedEx Cup and sponsored, golf events. It's just a really hugely successful company, 55 billion market cap. And yeah, rest in peace, Fred Smith. Thank you for all you've done. And with that, I conclude today's show. I will have more information in the morning at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Thank you for watching.